I have 3 children, a daughter, a son, and a son. The 2 older ones were 2 years apart. Birthdays are just a few days from one another, and they're like 2 peas in a pod. They were my blonde-headed, blue-eyed kids that people used to think were twins when they were growing up. And then my youngest, Joe, he was a few years after the other 2, and tight-knit, always playing and doing things together. My daughter, when she started driving, whenever she'd run an errand, she'd always take the younger brothers along. They loved it because that meant like blizzards or Slurpee. She'd always stop and get them a treat. So we were a very tight-knit family. My daughter was 17, she was the driver. My son was 15, he was the passenger. No cell phone, no radio, just the 2 of them spending quality time together. When she initiated her turn, they estimate he was 2.5 to 3 football fields away. She was 3/4 of the way through the turn when our vehicle was hit. The driver was going 90 to 100 miles an hour prior to hitting his brakes, and this was in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. Killed my son on impact. It literally shattered his bones from his neck to his ankle on the right-hand side of his body. The vehicle that impacted our vehicle caused our vehicle to go airborne, sideways, 15 feet, comes back down. The front and the rear axles break. It continues to go sideways until it hits a 3rd vehicle, and that's what enabled our vehicle to slow down and come to a stop. The offender was in the turn lane trying to pass on the right-hand side, and he was coming out of the turn lane when he impacted our family car. The phone rang, I picked it up, and it was the hospital to tell us that our children had been in a car crash. No information about how severe the crash was, that anybody passed away, just that there was a car crash, you need to come to the hospital. It seemed like we were there forever, hours on end, before somebody came in and talked to us. And so it was a young doctor that came in and sat down and talked to us to tell us that our son was killed in this motor vehicle crash. We saw Matthew at the hospital before they took him away. And we just held one another and cried. My daughter survived the crash, but she had to endure seeing her little brother die next to her. For her, she suffered post-traumatic stress and survivor's guilt. Krista had 6 broken ribs, broken collarbone, her lung was punctured, and it had collapsed. The therapies took approximately 9 to 10 months for physical healing. Emotional healing took several years. I know if you'd ask her today, she would tell you, you never, ever get over something like this. You remember it every single day. We discovered that the offender had 27 tickets in 4 years, had a hit and run. He had his license, it was either suspended or revoked for 6 months. I don't think he thought he did anything wrong. I think he looked at it and said, well, she made a left-hand turn. Well, yeah, she did. But you were going 90 to 100 in a 45. You were 2.5 to 3 football fields away when she initiated her turn. You know, when are people going to start looking in the mirror and saying, you know what, maybe I am part of the problem?